Well, in order to put audio or to trigger keyboards in Logic, you will need to use Midi. Now, Midi stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface. So what happens, we have a device that's a controller that's sending messages through this Midi cable into a system. And when using a computer system, there is no Midi connection for those Midi cables to go in. So we use a USB cable. And that USB cable will transmit and send Midi back and forth between the controlling devices. So I want to go here and show you where that's at. We're going to go into the Mac's hard drive. Now I can press Shift Command A, and we'll see the application folder appear right there. I can scroll to the bottom, and here I double click on Utilities, and here we have the Audio MIDI setup. Let me close this window. I can also press Shift Command U and get right to that window, which makes it much easier. And I'll open up the Audio Studio Setup. I'll double click on it. And you'll see here we have the audio device window open. Now, if you don't see the MIDI device window open, we go right here, Show MIDI Window. Click right there, is this window. And now it shows it. And this shows the devices that are set up or may have been set up to the system. And I can click right here, it says DigiDesign MBox 2 Pro. And see, there it is blued out right now. And this means I've selected the device. So I can also go here where it says Show Information. I get information about the device. Which MIDI port it's using for the in, which MIDI port is being used for the output. I also see the device name, the manufacturer, and the model as well. And of course, the little icon here that you can see here. I can close this out. And we also see my Auxium Pro 61. Now, in order to test a device, let's say you got a device set up to your system and you want to test it. Well, I got my Auxium Pro right here. I'll just press the keyboard and we don't see nothing happening, right? So I'll press Test Setup. Now, you hear that noise right there? That means that the Mac has recognized my Auxium Pro and it's showing what MIDI port's being used. I can go to Show Information and you see here it says 1. Right there, right? 1, 1, in and out. So here, I'll close this again, this window, and I can hit that, and you know that it's sending that 1 out right there. I'll close the window here. That's how we can test our setup for our audio MIDI setup. In this case, we're talking about MIDI. That's our MIDI setup. I'm going to close this window right here and click right here within the Logic software. Now, there are many MIDI controllers and MIDI receivers that receive MIDI information, like external control throughout. Let's say, for example, we record a MIDI track. We want to send it to an extra keyboard, that Triton you saw. We want to send MIDI there. And so there are so many to pick from, and they can be pretty costly too as well. And we're going to go over a few of them here. Now, here I am in Guitar Center website, and we can see some of these controllers you see. Some of them can be keyboards. They'll have pads on them. Some will just be like boxes like this, where they're blocked out, the little buttons right here. Or they'll have keyboard pads and keyboards. See that? Now, I'm going to go over a few here. We have, for one here, this is in a Akai Professional MD18, as you can see. So there isn't much to it, but it's $99. And that's a MIDI pad controller. Now here's my instrument I have here that I like to use. This is an Auxium Pro 61. As you can see here, let me get a better view for you. You can see this here. You can see I've got pads here. This keyboard is pretty weighted, so it's pretty good. It's a great keyboard. And we have knobs, encoders we call that. And along here, I have my transport section right below the encoders. Here I have some faders, some more buttons I could use, a display screen right here, a keypad. We have, of course, jog wheels right here, and other controls we can use right here underneath the display. So this is a very sophisticated controller that I can use to control everything in my Logic software. It works with Pro Tools as well. It's really a great device. I love it a lot. But it can be expensive. This is $559 currently, as you can see here from this website. Now also, we have other controls that have pads. Here's an MPD32. We have faders here. We have knobs and pads and even more. So we have encoders and a transport section right here, which acts as our record, play, and stop, and fast forward and rewind buttons for our digital audio workstation, like our Logic. So there are many different types of controls you can use for your system. So let's get on this. So how you can communicate with these controllers, we're going to go here to Logic, Preferences, and we're going to scroll down to Control Surfaces. Now we can go here to Setup. And as Setup opens up here, you got the ability to scan and see what you got. So for example, I go here that says New, we'll press Scan All Module. Looking for all models, what's in here, scanning around, looking for what I have, and it says, okay, models shown, italicized, in the install window cannot be scanned because this is a technically impossible. So this means that what's happening here, it already sees what I have already, and so it can't scan all these models. If I close this window right here, for example, you'll see these are all the different models of controllers that Logic can communicate with. So some models can't be scanned. Here for the Baby Yui, for example. And here was this record light and touch. So whatever italicized, it just can't be scanned. It doesn't recognize those items. But here it can. So you'll see a list of items that it can recognize totally. And you can also rescan at the same time as well. But here, in my case, I already have this set up already. And I have set up here is my Auxium Pro, my control surface. Now we can also go back here to Preferences, and we can go to Control Surfaces again. And we can also learn assignment. We can control our assignments, check the control assignments out. Now here, we have the various different commands. You can see here my MIDI input is my Auxium Pro. And we can assign controller functions for those little knobs, pads, or buttons or encoders as well, which makes it much easier when you're working with a project. Now what you can also do, you can send MIDI out of the system. Now here, track, I'm going to go to New, and we're going to select External MIDI Track. Now I'll press Create, and it creates a track right here, right below that. And over here in Library, you'll see a list of devices I have set up that are connected to my computer for Logic to see. And here you'll see I have a Triton Studio. It's actually a Triton Extreme, but it's X Studio. It uses it as that. So here I'll stick right here, and you'll notice that here are the notes. So I'm saying MIDI channel 1, I'm going to record here, and whatever I play here will be played on that Triton Extreme. So it's an external MIDI device that I'm sending MIDI data out through my computer system, through Logic. And that's how our MIDI system works in the Logic Pro system.